Greetings and salutations, Second Star Right, back with more Raid Shadow Legends. And yes, this might look a little bit familiar. I've already done a video on Snorting Thug a couple months ago. I was not overly impressed with the champion. I liked the idea, but I couldn't like bring myself to fully commit to the champion. I thought his some of his percentages were too low. I thought some of his skills were just slightly lacking. I couldn't bring myself to fully book him. I couldn't bring myself to get him to 60. That has been somewhat rectified with patch 2.2. Much like with Hope, who was almost a fantastic champion, and then 2.2 made her great. Snorting Thug, again, he's more niche, but I think that now he's a much better champion than he was pre-patch 2.2. And so I did go all in on Snorting Thug just because I wanted to see what he could do. And there's actually another motivator that made me get him to 60, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Let's go over his skills real quick. Actually, let's look at him. They did not take this opportunity to change his color palette. He still looks hideous. I don't know what is going on. He's way too uniform. They need a lot more contrast in here, and I don't know why they haven't done that. This is just a really lazy looking champion. But let's just ignore that for now and continue on with the skills. Okay, Wanton Mugging. It does take 6 books to get in, but if you want to commit to the champion, you want to put all those books in there, because he only has a 20% base chance, which I felt was too low. I put a couple books into it, I went like halfway. It was still really too low. But if you put in the 6 books, you get a 40% chance twice. There's 2 checks for it on his 2 hits. So you could conceivably steal 2 buffs. You could steal 1, you could steal none, but still the 40% chance feels about right. I would like it to be a 50% chance. It's not 40% chance, but still, that's not bad. A lot of times we'll see 35% as a max as a skill activation on an A1, so now we're seeing 40%. So no, it's fine, I guess. It's fine. They did not change this skill. They did change Ruckus, and they had actually made this really good now. Before, he would attack an enemy and then ignore defense if they have no active buffs. But now he attacks an enemy and steals 2 random buffs from the target. So now it's like what makes Mystic Hand so good in like Magic Keep is that he just steals the buffs. It's not a percent chance check. They've added that. They didn't take anything away from his A2. He still ignores defense if they have no active buffs, but he also steals 2 buffs if they have buffs. So the skill becomes a twofer, right? If they have buffs, you can steal them, but they don't have buffs, you can ignore defense. And even though he's a hit point based champion, they tend to not hit very well, but to be able to ignore defense at least gives them a little bit of a leg up in that regard, because they do hit weak in general, but ignoring defense, at least it takes that component away from the damage calculation. And so he's actually there are times when his Ruckus can hit very hard, especially if you're able to stack a lot of hit points on the champion. Dire Defense is also interesting. 30% chance of stealing a random buff from the attacker when hit. So that's when they're attacking you, right? So they'll attack you, and there's a 30% chance that they will have a buff stolen and applied to Snorting Thug on the opponent's turn. So it's really neat. So they can be sitting there minding his own business. Someone comes in there with an attack up, and the attack up then gets transferred to the Snorting Thug. And you can book that up to 50% chance. So half the time they're getting attacked, he's stealing buffs from the opponent. It's kind of cool. Also, if they have no active buffs when they attack, he counterattacks. That's not a percent chance to counterattack. He just counterattacks if they have no buffs. So you can kind of make up for him not being very fast. He's not a fast champion inherently, and the way that I have him built, I just stacked HP and kind of ignored speed completely. So when you look at the total stats, don't be alarmed when you see how slow he is. I did that in mind with how I want to build him in the team composition he was going to be in. I was going to have him in with a counterattacking team, so it's okay that he isn't fast, and plus I wanted to steal buffs, so I don't want him to go before the other team is buffed up. So there's a bunch of considerations in there where it's like okay that he's not fast. Alright, so I have him a pretty basic builds. I definitely wanted his accuracy up, so I have him in 1 accuracy set and an accuracy banner just up to level 12. I'm not in Platinum Marine or anything like that. I thought that having under 220 accuracy, but 218. It's 218. I thought that would be fine for this position where he's going to be, because again, I'm not fighting in Platinum Arena where we want a lot more accuracy, but at this level, this is going to work out for him. You see, I just stacked hit points. He's got almost 81,000 hit points. His attack and defense are all under 2,000. His speed is only 107, but like I said, he's in a counterattack team, and he counterattacks himself if there's no active buffs. So it's okay. We can kind of mitigate his lack of speed in other ways. His crit rate and his crit damage, again, they're low, but he's really here to steal buffs and absorb damage. And I have his mastery set up that way too, and we'll look at that in a second. His resistance is 80, and like I said, his accuracy is 218. Excuse me. Alright, so his masteries I have in the defense tree and the accuracy tree. Let's look. Support tree. Right, so I have him geared up for accuracy. I wanted to stack as much accuracy as I could, culminating in sniper down in tier 5. His defense is where I think he shines. Like I said, he has a huge hit point pool, so I did take a lot of the stuff that helps your other team. Like I have a Selfless Defender to help out with damage mitigation for the team, and Bulwark. So he can really help extend the lives of your team just by being full of hit points, right? And that's what he's there for. And a lot of these hit point based champions, I don't know that they always lend themselves well to take the skills that they need to do this, because maybe it's, even though you have hit point based champion, maybe you want to use them in clan boss, so you want to have their offense tree in tier 6. So this champion, I think, just lends himself well because he's so focused just on stealing debuffs and absorbing damage that you can really kind of focus on that for this champion, and that's kind of cool. I actually I like this setup. This feels right to me. Of course, with masteries, you can go a whole bunch of different ways depending on how you have them geared and what have you. There might be a way to need fearsome presence on them, but I think that having 81,000 hit points, Bulwark is a pretty good choice for this fella. At least in this composition, in the way I have him artifacted out. Your mileage may vary, of course, in all of these things. His power is low, but I just almost think don't worry about that. What he's here for doesn't require this number to be very high. All right, so let's go in. There's not going to be a whole lot of dungeons where he has a lot of use, to be honest, right? But let's look at the Magic Keep. This is, of course, where you think a buff stealer is going to be, because you need to steal the shield. You need to deal with the shield of the boss somehow at the end of the fight, right? And he's like Mystic Hand, where Mystic Hand gives you some heals and some nice buff steal and buff blockage. He doesn't provide the buff blockage, but it's okay because he's stealing so often and with such regularity that you really can set your Mystic Hand aside forever if you decide to invest in Snorting Thug. He is really, really well designed for this. It's like I don't even want to go through this whole rigmarole here, because here in this level isn't where he shines. Yeah, he's going to be stealing buffs constantly from the opponents here, but it's the boss that we really want to see, right? And this is him at level 50. You notice this is before I leveled him to 60. I wanted to see how he performed after the patch, but before leveling him level 60. I believe he's fully booked here, but I did not level him to 60. And his gear is not quite as good. It's all the same gear, but I did not take everything to 16. I think only his helmet and chest are 16. And of course, he's in a hit point percentage chest, right? Because I was able to equip. He didn't have the accuracy banner yet because he's only level 50. But so his accuracy is still low here, but it's just Magic Keep level 15, so you don't really need the 200 accuracy at this level. You probably can get away fine with just 100, which is probably around where he's at. He's probably at like 150 around here, maybe 130. Okay, so he stole the wrong buffs there from the boss, but that's okay. She's not going to be long for this world. This is going to be a really easy run. There we go. You see he steals the shield. We're all hunky-dory. I don't want to sit through this whole thing because more interesting is the next run. This is, I know it looks like the same run. It's the same team just about. But this is just the end of the boss fight. Again, this is level 50. Sathalia, Gorgorab, Soulbound Boyar and Battle Sage. The only people left right now. Battle Sage is going to hang on for as long as she can, but really the focus here is just on the level 50 Snorting Thug. This is just Snorting Thug at level 50, not all masteryed out. I think he only has up to tier 2 here, and maybe 1 tier 3 skill, and that's it. But he's just going to go through, and he's just going to solo the boss on his own. With no problem. As you see, he's just going to constantly be stealing buffs from the boss, and he's just going to use that to pummel her to death with her own weaponry, basically. He's going to keep stealing the shield, he's going to keep stealing her speed, keep stealing her defense, and just eventually just wear her down. Now, if you get to the boss and the Snorting Thug doesn't have enough health, like if he's below 50% health, or 30%, I don't know exactly what the threshold is, she will stop putting up a shield and just attack him, and then you won't be able to pull this off. But as long as you have over half your health, it looks like that's the way it looks to me. Maybe it's a third of your health. She'll keep putting up her shield, and you'll be able to keep stealing it, and you can actually solo the boss without much difficulty. And when she's at a point where you have all her buffs stolen, or all her buffs are gone, and you put up your ruckus and ignore defense, he gets a nice big hit in there, and it makes it go a little bit faster. And there we go. Level 50 Snorting Thug soloed the boss with relative ease. As far as other dungeons go, not a whole lot of usage. He will help you get through. Like I said, if you built him to help damage mitigation for the rest of your team, then yeah, he can add something to it. He can help you get through waves. Probably the only boss he's going to be of any help on at all is, say, the Fire Knight. In Fire Knight, because he will hit twice, which isn't bad, and then he will counterattack, which is good. And if he's in the counterattack team, of course, he'll hit twice more often. But that's it. That's it. He doesn't give you any other utility on any other boss fights, because none of the other boss fights, other than the potion keeps, they really buff each other, right? They really have any buffs for steal, buffs to remove, anything like that. His counterattack will be nice. He'll attack more often, but he's not going to really do a lot of damage. It's only his ruckus that has any kind of impact at all. So I guess every 3 turns or whatever, you'll get a decent hit on the boss. But there's a lot better champs out there that are doing that. So I don't think that he's a great choice for endgame dungeon bosses unless you're looking for the damage mitigation that he provides, which is actually pretty decent. I took him through Fire Knight and it was a really easy run. No one even got anywhere close being down. I did have Apothecary and Miscreated Monster in there, so that's part of it. But even with those 2 champions in there, sometimes you get some bad RNG. But with Snorting Thug, distributing the damage, taking a lot of the damage with the masteries, absorbing a lot of the hits, it was actually a pretty easy run, even though he wasn't offering a lot of damage utility. So that's the one caveat. He's not bad in Fire Knight. Everywhere else, I'd be like, maybe not. Potion keeps, fantastic. He's a really great potion keep person. And Arena, he's very fun in Arena. Let's take him into, here's Duchess. You know how much I hate Duchess. Everyone knows how much I hate Duchess. I cannot stand this champion. And it pains me a little bit that they were very considerate of her turn meter abilities on Clan Boss, so they decided not to nerf her in that regard. But they did nerf Siphi, and now Siphi is my Clan Boss runs with my other account that has Siphi on it have been kind of ruined, whereas people who had Duchess did not suffer the same fate, and I think it's a little bit stinky, but that's okay. We're just gonna work through that. Okay, so as we can see, this is a team of Hope, Martyr, and Tormund along with Snorting Thug, and you might think that he's not really compatible with Hope because Hope is going to be stealing, or Hope is going to be clearing a lot of buffs, and so he won't have anything to steal. But actually, it does synergize kind of nicely because of his ruckus, which ignores defense if they have no buffs. So it does allow him to, even if he's not stealing buffs, it allows him to put in some pretty decent hits in Arena, where a lot of the damage mitigation is based on high defense numbers. That people are stacking defense, it makes it difficult to burst them down. But Snorting Thug with his A2, his ruckus, is actually pretty decent in that regard. And I did make some mistakes in this run, so it takes a little bit longer than usual. As you can see that Dutch is able to resurrect the Skull Crusher there. That's because I was more focused on seeing what buffs I can get rid of than I wasn't actually killing anybody. So I do rectify that later on in this run, where I pay more attention to actually getting the champions down rather than just saying, hey, let me steal these buffs over here and let me steal this buff over here. So there's Snorting Thug stealing all the buffs away from Skull Crusher. and we will just proceed to wear these champions down. Having Hope paired with Snorting Thug is actually, like I said, really nice, because in Arena, it's you can see the team compositions as you're fighting them. A lot of them, these teams that are based on out buffing you, they cannot keep up with teams that have a lot of buff mitigation, right? And having Hope and Snorting Thug is amazing. And Torment too. Torment can steal the buffs or clear buffs with his A2. So I have a lot of buff mitigation. This is a team that has a lot of buffs coming from Skull Crusher, coming from Duchess, coming from Steel Skull, even Altan. And having a lot of ways to deal with that is like liberating, right? This is a team I wouldn't have touched with a 10-foot pole in any other team composition, just about. But in this one, it's not so bad. It really isn't. And plus, Snorting Thug is mitigating a lot of the damage that comes through that other champions might have been receiving. He's actually absorbing a lot from his masteries. So these runs, yeah, you can see I'm not really having a hard time, even though I'm not doing a lot of damage right away. I'm dealing with it all without much issue. So, and there's Hope. See how she doesn't clear everyone all the time. It's not a 100% chance. So having Snorting Thug in here to deal with the stragglers, you might say, is a huge benefit. All right, I took her shield. All right, guys, come on. I probably should have sped this up a little bit. I tend to get ponderous in Arena sometimes, making decisions. Alright, cleared some more buffs. Alright, who's next? Alright, Snorting Thug, what are you gonna do? There's no one you can really ruckus. No, he did not steal the buff from Altan that time. We blocked the buffs for Lila too, that's good. Alright, yeah, let's try to get her down, guys. She's kind of an irritant. Yeah, come on. Doesn't matter who, let's go. Alright, clear the buffs. Yeah, I just wanted to get rid of her. Okay, good. Alright, and you get the idea. Now that Duchess is down, this is just a matter of course until victory is ours. So let's move on to another one. This is a champion that's like pretty much all offense with Manaya. So we have Bistophus, the Mountain King, and Werewolf Boy there. And Manaya is the one who's going to kind of keep them all alive, but if we deal with her super quickly, we can bring up a ruckus. Now there's no one has any buffs, so we can just go and take her out. That's a nice 28,000 hit from a hit point based champion, and that's solely because, well, he has an attack up, but also because he's able to ignore defense because they have no buffs. So Manaya is the only thing keeping them alive. Now it's just academic until we get rid of everyone else, right? Even if Beast Boy here wants to resurrect himself, it's not going to matter. There's nothing they can do. And then I think I have one other fight that I want to showcase. This is against Santa. And again, another really buff heavy team and a buff blocker team. Again, just no match for our team here, just because they're dependent on their buffs, and we have enough anti-buffage to deal with them without an issue. And here you can ruckus the thing, another 27,000 hit. Having that kind of firepower from a hit point based champion who's also doing a lot, again with his masteries, to prevent damage coming in to your team, like I said, Snorting Thug adds a really good dimension to arena teams. I don't know how many people really focus on Arena. I don't know how good he would be outside of Gold 2, which is I finally got to Gold 2 after months of straggling. In the lower silvers, I was able to get up, and so he's doing really well. He's adding a nice dimension to my team. The buff steal, the counterattacking, the ignoring defense with his A2 is just awesome. See, there's a huge discrepancy in power here, and I did not have an issue because it's all based on buffage mostly, and this team composition and Snorting Thug being a big part of it just makes it makes arena so much easier. So again, Snorting Thug, I think his utility is limited to potion keeps and arena, but he's really, really good at those two things. Not going to add a whole lot to your end game dungeons, maybe fire keep, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I like Snorting Thug a lot more than I did before. It was a lot of fun having a nice high hit point champion, mitigating a lot of damage with his masteries, but also dealing out some after you've gotten rid of all the buffs, and using his A2 to deal a pretty decent amount of damage, based on his archetype, something you might not expect. So I had a great time with Snorting Thug. I recommend him. If this seems like something that would add to your gaming experience, it's certainly adding to mine. And this is a champion that's often ignored, but I think has some really, really good value. It may not be value everywhere, right? It's not like Martyr. You can take her anywhere and you're fine, but Snorting Thug, still really, really, really good champion who's been made much more viable with the addition, the changes they made in patch 2.2. So that's my summation of Snorting Thug. If you enjoyed it, throw me a like, subscribe if you want to see more, comment down below what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, take care, have fun, bye.